What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the, my notes are wrong, Thursday, April 22nd edition of Level Up Live, your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco. You can call me John. We're all friends here, and that dude next to me, I don't know if he's in the same room as me or not anymore. I can't see his flags or anything, but that is the king of the courtside, but you can call him Joey. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of change of pace here in the OTN studio, John. We got our same background rocking now, so feeling pretty good about it, sir. Feeling pretty good.
Yeah, see, you're watching here live on Twitch. There's this black bar between Joey and I. That's actually a piece of plexiglass. He's actually sitting right there, and my arm's not coming across on his screen because we're actually not next to each other. It's just the fun of magic on computer and on Twitch there for you. Nation! That was a stupid intro. I'm completely fine with it. Follow us on Twitter if you want more witty and horrible takes like that. Facebook and Twitter at Level Up Live, at LVLUP Live. And while you're on Twitter, follow Joey for all of his late-breaking Xbox shillery. And you can follow me at Fiasco as well. Joey's at Courtside King, so throw us a follow there as well. And Nation, if you do wish to listen to the podcast version of the show, maybe you can't catch a show live here on Twitch, we do have the podcast version of the show, and it's available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher under the name of the Level Up Podcast. It's very convenient for you. And while you're listening to the podcast version, we do ask you to do us one tiny little favor. Let's go ahead and give us a review. Give us a 3 out of 5. Give us a 4 out of 5. Give us a 5 out of 5. Nothing lower than a 3. We won't accept that. We'll delete your comments. No, just kidding. Any kind of feedback is always great because we try to make this show what you, our listeners and viewers, want the most. So all feedback is definitely welcome. All right, Joey. Happy Friday Eve, sir. It is, though. The weekend is right around the corner. It's going to be a long weekend for us. But the weekend is right around the corner. I'm excited for it. What are our topics for today's episode?
John, we've got a lot to talk about, guys. I had to cut topics left and right. If you hop in chat tonight and you have something you want us to talk about that we're not touching on, feel free to mention it. But we got some roster moves coming out in a variety of different esports, as well as some acquisitions in the industry that we'll be touching on. Tencent back in the news. Big surprise, guys. From there, we're actually talking some League of Legends manga between a partnership with some League of Legends teams and BMW. We're looking into the Discord sale and what some updated news on that front. We're going into a little bit of GameStack and what Microsoft announced there, as well as a new change to Xbox Live where things are free to play. We're talking PlayStation having some positive news this week as well with some good moves on their front. A number of game updates coming out, some leaks and rumors here and there, a little bit of things to look forward to, some esports, and that'll about wrap us up. That last bit of esports will be on the LEC. A number of big votes coming out this past week. We're going to touch on those as well as a possible spot change within the league as well.
Holy cow, Joey, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
We're going to try to do all that in under an hour. I have faith, Joey, so I'm going to jump right next to
That makes one of us.
It's worth a shot. Joey, we have our topics, but we do not have our drinks yet, so we do need to touch on our drink of choice, sir. Your beverage for this Thursday, the 22nd of April's edition of Level Up Live.
Guys, I have a new wall. I have a new very bright light, as you guys can tell on the screen, which I'll probably change that bulb afterwards. I do not have a new drink, though. I'm just going with a sparkling water. I don't know if I've had this one on the show, but it is a Trader Joe's sparkling raspberry lime. Not super exciting, but it took so much time for us to do the notes tonight, John, that I just did not have time to drink up a fancy beverage.
Is there any alcohol in that at all, or is it just
No, I don't think so. Just
water?
dreams. Powered by dreams.
Dreams and memes and tears. All right, Joey. I, too, have seltzer water, sort of, kind of.
Oh, wow.
In the form of Truly. Alcohol,
Hey,
let's
you're
go.
alcoholic.
All right, so someone's got to
Nice.
carry the show. It's fine. It is the last one. It's the last Truly Mango Lemonade, a.k.a. my least favorite out of that entire pack. Not a big mango fan, Joey. Fun fact, coworker brought in some mango Tootsie Rolls into work today. Not a fan. Spit it out like I was a 5-year-old. It was not a good candy. I was not a fan. There you go. I'm just not a mango fan. But you know what I am a fan of, Joey? Gaming and esports news. So how about we kick this show off? Let's get right into it. Let's get into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Let's do it here on Twitch tonight, sir. Let's kick it off with some LEC news. According to Esports, G2 Esports is signing Nelson as their new strategic coach to reinforce their coaching staff heading into the summer split. John, G2, they came out, they had a pretty decent spring split. They were a little shaky at the beginning, toward the middle. They're trying to get their roster to gel together with that one switch. Yes, Reckless is a legendary AD carry. Yes, he's extremely talented. Yes, he did go on to win the spring split MVP, but G2 wasn't as rock solid as we've seen them in the past. Losing Perks also took away some of the leadership of that team. Reckless being, I'm not going to say a more passive player, but more passive in comms for sure. He definitely listens to what the team is doing as opposed to kind of being that upfront leader like we've seen Perks be in the past. With that being said, they still performed pretty well overall, but going into playoffs, they got taken to a best of 5 with Schalke. They did win, but it was a tight one. Then they eventually got knocked out early in playoffs as well. So that's what happened. Mad Lions took them down, and then Rogue ended up knocking them out. So G2 saying, hey, we're supposed to be the kings of Europe. What is happening here? They could be making more changes. We've heard rumors here and there, but at least for now, it looks like a new strategic coach coming on will at least be the play so far looking towards summer.
Yeah, it's a smart move by G2. G2 is not going to sit back and play second fiddle to anyone. They're an organization that is very proud of their history, very proud of their LEC performances. This one definitely fell short. They went out and got arguably one of the best Western ADC players ever in Reckless, and they fell short. Mad Lions came in and knocked them down a peg. They are no longer the king of the jungle. Mad Lions is. And G2 is not going to sit back. So they go out, they get a smart strategic coach. It's a great reinforcement to their coaching staff and just their overall strategy that they're going to take into next split. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. Will a coaching change or adding a coach to the staff, if you will, be enough to get them set back on the right direction? Or we have to see some roster moves come out here, or we have to see maybe a head coach turnover. It'll be kind of interesting. I don't think G2 is that far away, but maybe a strategic coach is all that is needed in order to get themselves back on the right track.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they get rid of their main coach, but you could see a player change potentially. From what I've heard, there's rumors that Fnatic and G2 are willing to move players. Does that go into fruition in any way? I don't know necessarily. I don't think Caps will go anyway. Of all the Fnatic and G2 players, I think Caps is locked. I mean, he is your star of the show, the top of the LEC, potentially the best player of anyone playing in the LEC right now. So I doubt he moves. But some of the other players, maybe they could shift a few pieces here and there to try to get the old Kings back on top with Fnatic and G2. But we'll have to wait and see for that for now. Jumping over to one of those other old Kings, but in a different title, that is Fnatic with CSGO. They have added another young talent to the roster in Pepsor. John, we talked about this before. Teams that try to run 6-man rosters, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time, it doesn't end up working out too well, and we do eventually see one of those players being dropped. At least for now, the way Fnatic is approaching this, to my knowledge, is Pepsor is a very young, promising Swedish talent. Fnatic has a lot of history working with Swedish Counter-Strike players. They're bringing him in along with some of these veterans like JW, like Crims over there. And then eventually they're looking to sub him in here and there, but also kind of soak up some of that experience from those veteran players. JW and Crims have been around for a very long time. Yes, they're still talented. Yes, they're still performing in tournaments, but it's become a little less consistent than we've seen in the past, as well as they're getting closer to that esports retirement age. This to me is a move to kind of help ease that transition. When you eventually see someone like a JW or a Crims eventually leave the team, I think they're trying to get someone like a young player like Pepsor. You have Brawlin over there as well as Jaquinho. I think these players are going to be that next new era of Fnatic, and they're starting toward that transition more and more as we go.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it has to be a transition move because, like you said, the history shows us that, like you said, 6-man rosters just don't work. They may be able to work in certain aspects of certain esports. I really don't think CS:GO is one of them. Team chemistry, team communication is a big part of these games, and when you throw a 6th man in there, it just may throw everything off. Regardless of whether that player scrims with the rest of the starting 5, like the normal starting 5, if you will, or they sit in team means and everything. They're still not in game. It's that in-game experience that really does bring that chemistry to fruition, help build that from the ground up. So it's really tough. So I do agree with you, Joe. I think this is definitely a move building towards the future.
And I think it's a good move as well in that sense. Like maybe it doesn't work out necessarily as the rotation based is equal between these players, or one player gets more time or whatever, vice versa. But I think bringing him on, one, to get to know potential teammates for down the future with Jaquinho, Golden potentially as the in-game leader, and Brawlin over there being a talented young player as well. But you also bring in that veteran experience, the Crims and JWs who have been around for quite a while. What can they bring to the table? They've been champions a number of times before. How can they relate some of that knowledge over to another player who potentially could be playing under that Fnatic banner for many years, as those two did as well? A little bit of hometown action coming out here, John, in the roster move category. And this is FIFA, but with an org you wouldn't expect. This is Monumental Esports, the group behind Wizards District Gaming, the champions of the NBA 2K League last season, as well as Caps Gaming and all those initiatives in NHL. They've decided to do some expanding. They've decided to jump into FIFA, adding Nick Flick as their first official FIFA streamer and player. John, I love this move. A sports org getting into more esports titles, I think is going to be a big win.
Yeah, and now we have two esport professionals backed by major organizations here in the DC area. We have King CJ with DC United as their official EMLS rostered player, and now we have Nick Flick being backed by Monumental Sports. Again, I mean, that's massive. Monumental Sports is also, I believe they're co-owner of Team Liquid as well. I believe that's the correct terminology. I'll double check on that. Co-owner of Team Liquid. They are really leading the way with Caps Gaming and NHL, aka Chell esports as well. I mean, they're really crushing it there. I mean, this is an organization that believes in esports, and they're going to hit the ground running. And now they're entering into one of the most popular video game titles ever in the world in FIFA, having their own FIFA professional player and streamer now. I'm excited. I want to see if Monumental's going to, throw Nick Flick into tournaments. I want to see, is he just going to be a content creator, or are we going to see Nick Flick go out there and actually compete against some of these other EMLS pros in, side competitions and tournaments, not in the EMLS, obviously. But it'll be interesting to see how they utilize Nick Flick going forward. I'm really excited. I enjoy watching FIFA. It's a great esports scene as well. So, I think it's great. I think it's great for Nick Flick, and I love to see Monumental really doubling down on their commitment to esports by expanding into FIFA.
Yeah, absolutely. And while it might not have a big professional league like the NBA 2K League backed by the NBA with it, FIFA is still one of the biggest, if not the biggest sports title when you look at the worldwide scope. Over in Europe in particular, they run so many tournaments, both for EU-based competitors as well as NA and Asian-based competitors as well. So looking at FIFA in the general scope of things, soccer being the biggest worldwide sport, FIFA pretty much no different when it comes to sport-based esports. Just continuing to grow, not only to grow base-wise and viewership-wise, but also prize pool-wise. So I think this is a big win for Monumental in many different areas. Sticking with some acquisitions, but switching scopes to the industry, Focus Home Interactive has acquired Serum On Studio, the studio behind its Warhammer 40K shooters. Warhammer is a big franchise. It's very popular. It's been around for many years now. It continues to pull in not only those cult classic followers, but also just a number of new players as well. I think this is a big win for Focus Home Interactive. When we talk about publishers potentially being acquired or potentially growing, we're usually talking about like your THQ Nordics. We're talking about Embracer Group, Microsoft and Sony, Nintendo, Ubisoft, EA, Take-Two, all these big names, Tencent, obviously, every week, it feels like. Focus Home is one of those smaller ones, but they've continued to make little moves here and there. I think this is a good pickup. Serum On Studio could eventually have gone to like a Microsoft or a Tencent. This is Focus Home saying, hey, we're still a player in this game at this point. We've worked with them for many years. We're going to look to continue to ensure that partnership continues through an acquisition. Both teams, or both, I guess, the publisher and the studio in this case, ended up liking the idea. They went through with it. And I think Warhammer 40K is probably going to still be very popular into the future. So again, not the flashiest of moves, but I think Focus Home made a pretty big win here. And then last but not least, in industry acquisitions, we have Tencent. Because it's been about a show or two since we've had them in the news, might as well bring them back. Tencent has acquired a 20% stake in Sunborn, the Chinese developer behind popular strategy RPG Girls Front Line. John, I'm sure you're an avid player of that. On top of that, it's very popular in South Korea, China, and Japan. I actually have no idea if it's even released here in NA. I had never heard of it before writing this bullet point and reading an article about it. But Tencent, once again, the biggest theme here being they've gone in, if they don't fully acquire someone, they look at around a 10 to 20% stake. Then they see how the developer continues to grow over the next couple of years. And then if they like them, they increase that stake. And we've seen them do this with a number of companies, whether that stake jumps from 20% to 50%, or if it eventually becomes 100% for Tencent. This is how they like to kind of get their roots growing into these different developers. And this could be another acquisition later down the road for them as well.
Joey, I'm not gonna lie. When I was skimming through the notes earlier and I came across this bullet point, I had to do a double take because I read it as "girls Fortnite," and and I had to think to myself, I go, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure Fortnite has female characters and female avatars in it. And I was like, yes, it does. Like, this doesn't make any sense. I had to go back and reread it. And then I realized it said RPG. I'm like, Fortnite's not an RPG. And then I saw it said Frontline. I was like, oh, well, that was embarrassing to read. So I figured I'd share that with the rest of Level Up Nation. But yeah, I mean, this is a stereotypical Tencent move. They won't fully acquire the studio or the developer. They will slightly invest in it. It's like them just planting that seed. And if they see they see that ability to grow, they see the ability to make a return on their investment, they'll go all in. It's a smart business move. When you have that kind of money, you can kind of spread yourself all over the place and then pull the trigger on those developers and studios that really start to pop off. And then, you already have an end. You already have that connection made. It makes the acquisition so much easier. So it's a smart move by Tencent. And, like you said, Joe, it hasn't been in the news for the past couple of weeks, but Tencent is always looking to do stuff like this. And I said it once, I'll say it again. I'll guarantee you they'll be back in the news again soon.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant move. I mean, worst comes to worst, you made a small investment and it doesn't work out. You sell your shares or you keep them and hope the company turns it around. If they do extremely well, you can keep your shares and just go extremely well alongside them, or say, hey, let's deepen this relationship. As you said, it's already established. They can increase their shares as well. So it's a win-win all around for a company like Tencent. And I think we'll see more of this, as you said, John, probably back to back. If not the next episode, give it about 2 and we'll probably have another acquisition. Partnerships and investments. BMW has partnered up with its LOL teams. You've heard about it before, the United and Rivalry series. You have Cloud9, Fun Plus Phoenix, SK Telecom, G2, Fnatic, and I believe a couple more out there as well. In the end, they've done some fun things. We've seen test drive videos with BMWs with players in them. We've seen a number of other activations between them as well. This one in particular is a bit more unique, though. They're now releasing manga stories around the teams to bring some more hype to the partnership as well as to the game of League of Legends and the pro scene alongside it. John, I posted a link in there if you want to pull one of these up. We don't have to read it through to you guys. You guys can check them out on your own. But it kind of is a unique take on it and a unique way of kind of marketing not only their partnership, but the scene as well.
Okay, let me go ahead and do a little fancy
transition time for the Twitch viewers.
A little fancy transition time for everyone that's stuck here watching on Twitch.
Watching here.
and this is a good thing. This is why you should tune. Like, look, it's nothing against our podcast listeners. Like, we definitely appreciate you and everything. We understand that a lot of our audience is on the podcast. But if you have a moment either on a Monday or a Thursday, definitely come check out the live show. There's a lot of really cool things that we can bring to you with that visual representation here on Twitch. It just adds a different kind of dynamic there. So definitely check it out. You don't have to. We appreciate you regardless, but it's just, something else if you're looking to do something on a Monday or a Thursday night. Definitely check us out here. So so far so good. I like this website. It's very gray and blue. Oh, there's a dragon. There's a car. Look at that. Yeah, a lot of really cool things. Let's see here. So it's a total of 3 episodes out so far. Let's go ahead and click on this first one. Heroes of Rivalry.
I actually don't know what this is. This might be all the teams, maybe like an intro.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it. So it's a player putting on like a futuristic VR headset that encompasses your entire head, connected with a bunch of wires in what looks to be a gaming chair. Looks like it's a racing jumpsuit, kind of like you see in the F1 and NASCAR series. Rivalry tech on one side of the chest of the uniform there. Then you have looks like the team. So you have like Fnatic, G2. Is that Fun Plus? That's Cloud9 and T1. So you have that on there as well. And then let's see, flipping through here. Oh, look, it's got all the players' pictures on there. That's smart.
Hey.
Looks really good. How to read. It sounds stupid, but everyone has this moment when they first pick up their first manga and they're like, okay, well, I don't understand how to read manga because it's structured differently artistically than it is for Western comics. So I actually like that. It's supposed to be read as a traditional Japanese manga. So you start top right and you move to the left. Then you drop back down to the right and then you move to the left and then so forth all the way down. And you usually start for what Westerners will call at the very back page, which is the front page. But not with this. Oh, look at there. There you go. Joey, this has bad language in it.
Does it?
Yeah, the very first word, the very first word in this manga. I'm pretty sure we're fine. I think that's one of the fine ones on Twitch. But yeah, so BMW obviously a lot of product placement here in the manga as well. All these cars are BMWs as well. All rocking the organizations that they have partnership deals with. Looks really cool. We'll definitely have to check it out later. I'm going to go back and read through again. It looks like it's a total of 3 episodes out as of right now. So I will definitely be taking a gander at that later, probably after this podcast, Joey.
Hey, yeah, it's cool. It's just one of those unique ways of finding different ways to market something. And again, it's going to potentially bring more people, maybe especially from that Japanese market, who are already going to read mangas. It can bring them to know some teams better in the League of Legends scene. It could even pull them into League of Legends if they're not already there. So it's just a fun, interesting way to market that new partnership. So excited to see how it continues on as well. Moving down the line here, another investment partnership bit of news. Discord has walked away from acquisition talks with Microsoft and a few other suitors, stating that they are still open to a deal, particularly with Microsoft, but for now they're going to choose to remain independent. They will consider going public as well as an IPO later this year, or potentially a year in the future. So as of right now, some more information alongside that. Microsoft's bid was $12 billion. That's according to Bloomberg. So a little bit higher than that $10 billion estimated total originally. On top of that, Discord has yet to turn a profit. So a lot of these companies currently making bids, as well as the idea of an IPO, Discord has yet to make a profit. So it's one of those things that investors may just take a look over and just gaze over it, like especially Robinhood investors. But I would say for people that are diving more deeply into things like this, one of the big things you look at for companies IPOing is what are they turning over year? How much are they making? What is their revenue model? With Discord so far, while they've made a little bit more money year over year and their user base is huge, they haven't really found a way to activate it and turn it into a profit as of yet.
Yeah, Joey, if Microsoft came to you and said, we're going to give you $12 billion with a B, $billion for a project that you've worked a couple years on, are you walking away from that? Again, it's all hypothetical. I mean, obviously we're not in that situation, but like, how gutsy is it to turn down a $12 billion offer?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. And this is just my pure speculation. I have no inside information or anything on this. But my guess into what we're eventually going to see is I think Discord's going to go the IPO route. I think they're going to go public, and they're going to hope that they go public the way like a Roblox or an Airbnb did this year, or even like I think Snowdrop dropped last fall. If they can come out as a gaming company or a new fresh company and be able to absolutely pop off on an IPO, increase their value a ton early on, maybe they pull in another investment round or so, and then they go back to the table and say, hey, Microsoft, we like that 12 billion, but now we're worth 25 billion on the market. Yeah, we're still not pulling a profit, but now we have such a bigger valuation. What are your thoughts now at this point? And Microsoft has spent that money before. LinkedIn was their most expensive acquisition. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was either 23 or 32 billion, if I remember correctly. So they've been willing to spend that money before, and they could do it again with Discord. I mean, we've seen Microsoft. They tried to acquire TikTok at one point. That fell through. There was another company, I believe, that they were early on in talks with as well, but they don't really have a big social platform outside of LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is not your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram. It's very business-like, which is great, and it fits well into the Microsoft model, but it doesn't translate over to a social experience necessarily. So they're still kind of lacking in that department, and they haven't really found too much of an answer for it. So if Discord did IPO, if their valuation goes up a ton because people are willing to invest in them as a new, fresh company, do we eventually see them go back to Microsoft and Microsoft making a deal? I think you do see Discord going back. I don't know if Microsoft makes a deal depending on if they're turning a profit at that point or if it's getting more and more promising of them turning a profit. That's my humble opinion on the matter. I think Discord is playing their cards well. Again, as John said, it is not easy to walk away from 12 billion. Would we at OTN walk away from 12 billion? We would probably start a new podcast and hope some of you translate over there and we would sell everything. Yeah. But it's all for the audience, right? We could build so much more with 12 billion. But yeah, overall, I'm curious to see how this does end up going. I do think Discord probably IPOs or at least steps away for a while, does some funding rounds, and then possibly goes back out for bid to see what could happen later down the road. This next part I included, there was a lot that happened at GameStack. I honestly do not speak the language of developers. I have no idea what half the stuff they're talking about, but everyone's super hyped about all these new tech things. And supposedly Microsoft is giving out tools where like users can build games at their kitchen table, apparently, and all this fancy stuff that I really don't understand. But one thing I do somewhat understand, but not as well, because John's going to explain it. AMD has announced that Fidelity FX is now available for developers to utilize and offer on the Xbox Series X and S. Supposedly, it's already in use in about 40 PC games currently, and a lot of people are super hyped from this on the AMD side. So, John, what is this about, and what does it mean for gamers on these Xbox consoles?
I am going to explain to you why the Xbox Series S is now officially the best budget gaming console ever created because of this. Now, next gen is all running off of AMD processors. As of right now, with this announcement, is only available. This Fidelity FX is only available on Xbox Series X and S. That does not mean it's not going to PlayStation. It has not been announced yet, but is now being included in the developer kit for game studios to develop their games using this technology. So what is this technology? I'm going to read it verbatim from their website. AMD's Fidelity FX tech is adaptive software that offers a variety of image sharpening enhancements for developers to more easily implement into their games. Standout features of Fidelity FX include variable shading, screen space, reflections, and ambient occlusions, all of which add significant visual depth to an image, and here's the biggest factor, without compromising game performance. How many times have you played a game that's so graphically intense, it slows the entire thing down and turns into a mushy experience, and you end up not playing the game anymore because essentially the system can't handle the amount of power that is being asked from these demanding graphics. This technology, this is why I love technology, allows those great, sharp, crisp, clear, clean, colorful images to be brought to your attention without putting that demand on your software. It is absolutely freaking massive. Now, Joey, you did hit on this. There are currently 40 games that are currently using this technology on the PC. I am going to go ahead and flip our screen back over here just to give you an idea of what games currently use it. Far Cry 6, Shadowlands for World of Warcraft, Godfall, Dirt 5, just to name a few. Horizon Zero Dawn. Cyberpunk, I don't know if that's a good one we want to throw out there because that game is broken.
On PC, it's supposedly amazing, though.
On PC, yes. Okay. The Medium. Joey, Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is a game that everyone is raving about because of their graphics. Those graphics are able to be produced because of this technology, and it utilizes this next generation AMD processor. It is absolutely fantastic. Joey, you and I are running on Intel, but the graphics are still absolutely amazing. Can you just imagine what it would be like on an AMD processor utilizing this Fidelity FX? It's not software, but this engine almost to make the game even better without putting that demand on your graphics card, without putting that demand on your RAM, without putting that demand all over your PC. Absolutely fantastic. Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Eve. Here's some more. Jedi Fallen Order. You have Zombie Army. You have Hitman 2. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Now, if you have an Xbox Series X, you're already dealing with an absolute beast of a console. If you have a Series S that upscales to 4K, this is going to make it even better. Upscaling takes a lot of power. Now you're going to get the upscaling to 4K plus this engine that's going to allow for crisp, clear, clean, bright colors and image depth added on top of all of that for almost no impact on your gaming experience. Joey, this is a massive, massive win for Xbox, assuming it does not go to PlayStation also. But as of right now, only offered on the Xbox next-gen consoles, and it's a massive win.
Okay, so I don't 100% know if this is the case here. Well, yes, it's a giant win, and I'm not disclaiming that at all. I think the fidelity thing, though, I want to say this is one of the features that Microsoft waited for. So PlayStation went into development about 2 or 3 months earlier than Xbox's did because Xbox waited for AMD's next set of tech. I think Fidelity FX is one of those tech features that they ended up waiting on for their newer chips in the consoles.
So if it
so
is...
not 100% sure, but...
Yeah.
I think that's the case.
If it is, it's a massive win. And just to put this into perspective, like if you've played any of these titles on the PC and saw how amazing these graphics are, think about this. Xbox exclusives, Everwild, Perfect Dark, Fable. From what we've seen, the graphics look amazing already as it is. Can you imagine what it's going to be like playing on your console now, your next-gen Xbox console, on your 4K TV, whether it's upscaled on the S or full 4K on your Xbox Series X, upscaled with Fidelity FX? It is going to be absolutely freaking amazing. Console gamers are about to blow their freaking minds with how great this is going to look. I'm not even joking. Like, if this is not available to PlayStation because they didn't wait for that chip, like if that is the case, it is a massive, massive loss to PlayStation.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see some of the, and I think there are a couple features. Again, this could be one of them, it could not be, but there's a couple that AMD talked Xbox into waiting for, and PlayStation said, no, we're going to go forward with production, which is great because they did break the record in US and they're doing very well. PlayStations are still hard to get, but at the same point, some of these later gen features that could be adapted as developers kind of get used to them could come out for the Series X and S as we go on over time. For Xbox players as well, just a heads up, I know all of you guys have already seen this already, but you're now able to access and play free-to-play online multiplayer games free of charge, no Xbox Live Gold subscription required. This was announced, I believe, early February after they tried the price hike thing. Players said, nah, we ain't about that, bro. They ended up reversing it, and then they said, hey, we're also going to give you this. Current games that include in this Apex Legends, Fortnite, Warframe, Warzone, Rocket League, Roblox, pretty much any of those free-to-play games that a lot of people play out there. A lot of your biggest player bases on consoles are these free-to-play games outside of like sports games and your single-player powerhouses on PlayStation and like your Gears of War, your Halos over on Xbox. So really good stuff there. Quality of life change. Again, I don't think it's the end of the world. People are either going to pay or they're not going to pay at this point. Maybe you get some subscriptions cut, but it feels like a lot of those people are already translating over to Game Pass anyway. So I don't think it's going to have a big monumental shift, but it is a nice quality of life change. The other part of this, and I believe the last bit of Microsoft news for now, I know we've had quite a bit of Microsoft and PlayStation news. There is a little bit more PlayStation news to hit on as well. But this might be my favorite story of the week, John. We've had amazing stories about games, about technology, esports moves as well. This one in particular hits home a little bit because I hate this freaking store with a burning hot passion. Not Target, not Best Buy. We love those stores. But Microsoft is building a new app store for Windows 10. We're talking virtual stores here. They're going to focus on revitalizing their policies around different kind of desktop apps and what they're allowing. On top of that, they're completely redoing the UI as well, which is a huge win because I do not like the UI. I do not like the clunky download speeds. I do not like the way it even updates. I'm not a fan of the Windows Store in any way at all, or the Microsoft Store, whatever it's called on here. I don't even know. Devs will be able to submit unpackaged Win32 apps, update apps via their own CDNs, and use their own in-app revenue streams without Microsoft taking a cut. These are three heavy-hitting things right here. So Win32 apps. This pretty much puts them in line with Steam. This is something that Steam, I believe Epic is doing this as well. A lot of your big launchers out there, Steam and Epic in particular, are allowing this from developers. Microsoft is now saying, hey, we're making more investments in gaming. We're making more investments in apps. How can we continue to get level with some of these other places? This is a big way of doing it, saying, hey, if Steam's going to allow this, if Epic is going to allow this, we're going to allow it as well and try to get on that same page. People are like, okay, that's great. You're so much more developer friendly in that sense, but there's still different ways. Like your speed sucks, your UI sucks. So again, they're addressing those as well. But last but not least, that last half as well, John, the fact that they are also saying we're taking 0% cut of in-app purchases is huge. Especially given the whole giant, it feels like 6+ month argument right now happening between Apple and Epic over in-game purchase prices. Microsoft just cutting it out, saying we're not going to take any at all.
Yeah, that's huge. And that's the first thing I thought of too, was the whole thing between Epic and Apple. And it's really more than just Epic and Apple. It's the Google Play Store as well. You understand why the stores take that cut. It makes sense. You're essentially using their users. It ends up being mutually beneficial. But this is big. This is a big win for developers. They will get full income for any microtransactions and purchases of their game if it's pay to play through the Microsoft Store. It's a huge win. That is so attractive to developers. Why would you not want to put your app through the Windows Store if you get 100% of the cut. You are literally opening yourself up to a significant portion of the world's population by doing that. I think it's a huge, huge win for Microsoft and even a bigger win for developers.
I think it's absolutely huge. And again, we didn't do a ton of research on this. I don't know what Steam and Epic. We know that's like, I think it's 8 to 12% or something that they take off games for Epic. And I think Steam is a little bit higher. And Microsoft's still going to take a cut on those games overall. But I don't know how Steam and Epic handle microtransactions within games. If they charge a cut, this is going to make the Windows Store look so much more attractive if they can clean up the UI and download speeds. Or B, developers are then going to say, hey, Steam, Epic, Microsoft is saying they're not going to take a cut. Are you guys going to take a cut still and kind of push them to be more consumer friendly as well? Or maybe we eventually see Windows Store exclusives as well. Could be a giant thing. But if they're going to go that route, I really hope we get the new UI as well as that new speed burst coming through pretty cleanly before anything like that happens. But from the developer side, as you said, John, I think this makes it a lot more attractive. You'll see more games go to that platform and possibly to push things to be a little bit more consumer friendly as well. Okay, jumping to Sony. We've done a little bit of Xbox and Microsoft talk. So what has Sony done this week? Well, John, they have made some good news, some bad news, some mixed news. Jumping to the good and mixed news, we're going to kick things off with Sony releasing a new subscription service to trial with its Polish audience for 1 year starting today. That is the PlayStation Plus Video Pass. It's going to pretty much give users access to around 20 to 30 movies and TV shows from Sony Pictures, with the promise of more content to be added every 3 months. At this moment, there is no word on it testing in other markets outside of Poland. It very well could, but at this time, it's only the Polish market getting it here.
Sony, again, breaking barriers here. The first ever video streaming service in the world. Sony, give me the press release. You have invented backwards compatibility, and now you are bringing PlayStation Plus Video Pass, the first of its kind. No one in the world is doing anything like this. That is extreme sarcasm, if you could not tell. I don't know how I feel. I really don't. This does not excite me as much as it may have excited other people. Maybe our Polish audience could tell us if they're excited about this or not. 20 movies and TV shows. Hooray! Okay, I get it. It's a start. It's a start. Every 3 months, they're going to add something new. I'm pretty sure Netflix launched with more than 20 movies and TV shows. I'm pretty sure Hulu launched with more than 20. I'm pretty sure Disney Plus launched with more than 20. To me, if I'm a consumer and I'm on the Sony and I'm in the Sony ecosystem, what's my benefit to doing this? You know, is this part of my PlayStation Plus service? Is this an added on feature? It's kind of like Apple TV Plus right now. It's like, okay, cool. For a small additional fee, you get the streaming service, but there really isn't much on Apple TV Plus right now. I mean, one of their biggest critical claim to fame shows is Ted Lasso, and we have to wait till July for season 2. But other than that, there's really no draw to wanting to watch anything on Apple TV Plus. Now, I may be completely wrong, but when it comes to their library, there isn't much there. I feel like this is suffering from the same thing. The content isn't there. Do we really need another streaming service, Joey? I mean, how many subscriptions to streaming services do you already have? Do I already have? Do you sitting at home listening to this or sitting in your car already have? It's ridiculous. I just don't see why this is a necessary thing unless they have deals with other streaming services built into the overall cost. Kind of do what Apple does for all of their features, whether it's Apple News, Apple Music, Apple Fitness. I had to think there for a second. Apple TV. If you have an all-inclusive package for one discounted rate, I think that's the only way people will actually start taking this seriously. I think it's a cool idea. I just don't see the benefit to it right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you on point to point, so I won't spend a ton of time on it either. It feels to me, and I know it's taboo to say it, but almost like the Xbox One approach, where it's kind of like the all-in-one entertainment system, where Xbox went very heavy, not as much on the games, but they went heavy on TV, they went heavy on shows, they went heavy on music, and they're like, we are going to be your all-in-one living room entertainment system, which was great, but why are you buying an Xbox? In most cases, you're buying an Xbox for the games. Otherwise, I would just buy a VCR or a DVR or whatever. So I think that's the biggest issue here, and people are making that comparison. Now, a lot of those people making that comparison are fanboys. They're Xbox fanboys who are getting back at those PlayStation fanboys who made fun of them in the Xbox One generation. So you're going to see some of that here and there on Twitter. Overall, like you said, though, John, I don't think it's a bad idea. It's just, why would I subscribe to this if it's another subtotal of payment? If it's hooked in with PlayStation Plus as like a one-time fee or whatever, I think that's fine. In addition to these games you also get these TV shows. Sure, that makes it more attractive, and maybe you pull some more subs in. But if I'm paying extra for it, I already have the choices of Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and Crunchyroll and Funimation, which Funimation Sony owns. They should probably tie it into this service, if you ask me. Hulu's out there. I feel like there's just so many subscription services. Paramount Plus just launched. Like, there's just too many. And if I'm going to choose one, if I can choose Netflix with 150 shows and Hulu with access to TV, or all the Disney movies and Star Wars shows and Marvel shows and all of that good stuff, why would I choose the Sony version over that? Like, yes, they have some good movies here and there, but I'm getting 20 movies versus 100 some shows and possible TV access. And it doesn't feel like the library is there. And then the other thing that kind of irks me a little bit, and yes, it's in a trial, so I think that's probably part of the reason, but the addition of every 3 months. If you look at shows like Disney, you're getting like WandaVision was releasing every week. You're getting a new episode of something. With Netflix, they usually drop it all at once, but you're getting new content month over month. This is every 3 months. And they could be building it up, and I think that's great. But at this time, why would I sub to that if I'm only getting content every 3 months? And maybe there's only one show I want to watch. So I sub to it. I watch that show, and the first couple days I binge through it, and then I unsub for a couple months. Like, it doesn't feel like the draw is there. I think the idea is not bad. And again, I don't think the idea with Xbox One was terrible either. But you have to remember why people are buying your console. And I think that's the biggest thing to remember here.
Yeah, I think the best example of what they should do, take a look what, and again, it's mainly because it's all the same company, but take a look what Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN did. That three-way package deal, if you were to have all three of them separate, you're looking about probably over $30 a month. You get their bundle deal, you get Hulu, and again, that's without live TV. We'll just stick with recorded Hulu. Hulu, ESPN Plus has access to live sporting events all over the world, and Disney Plus, which literally has everything Star Wars and Marvel that you ever want in your life on it, all for like $15 a month. It is a steal and a half. And then if you want to add live TV to your Hulu subscription as well, you can still bundle it all up together. And Joey, guess what? It's still under $100 by doing it that way. It's absolutely an insane deal. That's what Sony would need to do to convince a lot of people that this is worth switching from all of their subscriptions to a Sony-based subscription service with TV and movie content, is if they were able to bundle it all together. That's the only way I see this existing in the future, outside of Poland.
Well, and they can copy the Apple model too. Like, Sony has so many legs in music as well. Like, you throw your new movies up there. Like, what are they doing? Uncharted. They have the rights to Spider-Man. You could tie that in. I know they signed a deal with Disney and Netflix, but they could find a way to tie certain things in with these different movie deals as well. Maybe they alter the contract a little bit. I don't know exactly how it plays, but say, hey, we're going to offer movies. We're going to offer music. We're going to offer TV shows. We're going to offer games. And again, it comes down to that set price. Maybe someone wants to make it their all-in-one entertainment system, and they have some kind of discounted rate at that. Again, though, as your main audience is gamers. There's so many ways to say it. Not many of them are very nice. Again, just like with the Xbox One, it failed because people didn't realize the main target audience. With PlayStation, again, this is great. I think it's a good quality of life change, but your main audience is gamers. They want to see you invest more in games, and you have some great games coming out. Returnal comes out later this month, Ratchet and Clank in another month or so. So good things are coming for gamers, but services like this kind of make them nod their head a little bit, like, why on a PlayStation? So definitely just something to look forward to. Again, the overall idea is not bad. They just definitely need to flesh it out if they're going to find a reason to compete with these other services. Lot still to run through, guys, so we're going to speed it up a little bit. This is some positive Sony news. So regardless if you thought the last bit was positive, mediocre, or not so positive, this next one should be positive for any Sony fan out there, especially the gamers. In more gaming-related news, Sony has announced a publishing partnership with Probably Monsters Firewalk Studios. one of the studios that falls under that Probably Monsters umbrella, to publish a new original AAA multiplayer IP. One of the big things with Sony, and this is not just me as more of an Xbox fan saying it, is PlayStation has always kind of lacked in those multiplayer games. Yes, they've had some great sports games and they've had multiplayer in them. MLB The Show was exclusive prior to this year. So they've done well in sports games multiplayer. And people can, sure, you can play COD, you can play Fortnite and all those things that are available everywhere as well, but they're not exclusive. Xbox has always had your Gears of War, your Halo, all these big exclusive titles, and people tend to go there if you're a competitive multiplayer player. Now, Sony, how do you address that? Well, one, you could have your own studios make multiplayer, and I think there are some of those in the works, but another way of doing that is locking down AAA publishers and to find different deals with them. So sometimes Sony will do the limited exclusive route. This one, to my knowledge, is going to be a full exclusive release on the PlayStation platform, possibly and probably on PC as well. But it's a good area, John. And this is from a Destiny. I believe he was one of the heads of Destiny originally when it came out. So you're seeing some good talent from within the industry come together here in Firewalk Studios. But again, it also addresses that question. Sony, what kind of multiplayer do you offer? Here's an exclusive one coming out now as well. Anything else to say on that one, good sir?
We have multiplayer games on PlayStation, right?
You do, but can you name any big multiplayer exclusive on PlayStation? And for the record, these are not my words. These are the words of Sony. I believe it was Jim Ryan that said this, that they felt like PlayStation was lacking in multiplayer games. So that's one of the reasons they went out and made this deal. So yeah, that's the big thing. I'm not saying Xbox has amazing ones either. Like Halo is wonderful, of course, and Gears of War has a great following, but it's definitely been one of those areas when you compare the two. Sony has these amazing, rich third-person action-adventure game stories. Xbox has these great multiplayer exclusive experiences. So one of the things that both are trying to amend a little bit, Xbox with stuff like Avowed coming out and the purchase of Bethesda, Sony with deals like this on the multiplayer side. Over to our good buddies over at Electronic Arts. Just a couple days ago, EA revealed their upcoming Apex Legends mobile experience. I believe John and I mentioned it in January or February. EA is looking to change somewhere around 7 of their different IPs to multiplayer experiences. This is another one with Apex Legends, and they're going to add yet another one that got announced this week, and that is Battlefield Mobile. They're already doing extremely well in some of their other mobile titles, like FIFA. It does extremely well, but trying to translate some of these other games, Battlefield, similar to like Call of Duty Mobile, potentially being translated over and will be releasing in 2022. They also tease more Battlefield news coming up soon. I believe some may drop in May, if not for sure in June. As all of us mobile gamers here at Level Up, we will definitely be checking out these, right, John?
You will.
I mean, yeah, I enjoy some mobile experiences here and there. Mobile Call of Duty never really stuck too much with me, but I think it is a good prospect. You have a big player base with Apex Legends, a big player base potentially with Battlefield, and it kind of builds onto the hype of a new game releasing later this year. So I think these will probably do extremely well. Mobile games, especially shooters, do very, very well in Asia. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on for sure moving forward. Moving into some game updates and leaks potentially here as well. We have some Apex Legends news to kick things off. That is Season 9 Legacy is shaping up to be a big one, good sir. New legend Valkyrie is on the horizon, as well as a new version of the map. We have Olympus becoming infested. We have a new weapon, the Bosec Bow. Kind of gives me a little bit of those Turok vibes from back in the N64 days. Sorry, just aged myself a little there. New arena mode. It looks like it's going to be a 3v3, according to a couple sources. A new battle pass, legacy ranked, and more. This one's going to be launching on May 4th. John, I recently re-downloaded Apex Legends to play with our good friend Extra Barbecue over there at the Game Gym. I'm not super back into it yet. I'm feeling some of the vibes, some of the Battle Royale vibes that kind of got a little stale to me for a while, as I know they did for you as well. But I like the idea of a new map. I like the idea of a new legend. New game modes never hurt either. And of course, a bow does make things a little bit more interesting. We did see one of those get added into Rogue Company, and it spiced things up a little bit recently. I think it'll probably do something a little similar here as well.
But do I like the idea of re-downloading the game?
It's a big one, actually. It is a big download. Yeah. Call of Duty Warzone, another battle royale. Guys, I did not take enough notes on this one. We talked about it last week. It was going to get, or maybe earlier this week, it's going to get nuked. It did end up happening, and it was a little bit of like some kind of teleportation thing or whatever. I don't know exactly how we got there. I have not watched the video. I'm a little behind on that one. But Verdansk is now in 1984, moving back a little bit toward that Cold War aspect to fit with the newest Call of Duty title that dropped late last year. They're now transferring Warzone over from that Modern Warfare time zone to back to that Cold War era. I think this is an interesting one to look forward to, John. Call of Duty Warzone absolutely popping off. It recently passed 100 million players as well. Now you have new changes coming in. What has kept Fortnite alive? One, the amazing crossover skins have been great, but on top of that, the constant changes to the map every few seasons, it's become more of a platform in and of itself, and that's kind of what Warzone is looking to do here, and I think a map change is a great addition for that series as well.
Yeah, I mean, Fortnite had an asteroid come down and blow the map up. Warzone has a nuke go off. Then there was an alien invasion in Fortnite. Is the alien invasion going to be next, Joey, in Warzone? Are we going to get, aliens come down? All of a sudden it's going to be an Area 51 map? That actually would be kind of cool. I'm trademarking that idea, by the way, Call of Duty, if you're listening.
Live on air.
Royalties. I think it's cool. I think one of the things people like a lot about Call of Duty, especially Warzone, is it is the more realistic feel it has. Fortnite is obviously a cartoon-ish style graphically to its gameplay. So it's obviously watered down for younger aged gamers. Warzone is probably not a game you want your 5-year-old or 6-year-old playing. I'm not going to tell you how to parent, but I probably would not let my 5 or 6-year-old play Warzone. I'd probably wait till they're closer to 10. But that's just me. Parenting from Fiasco, and the name's Fiasco for a reason. I mean, I like this move. You said it with Apex. I just wish for a single game mode it wasn't 90 gigs to play the dang game. But other than that, I like the direction they're going with it.
Absolutely. So we'll try to drop it in there at some point and let you guys know our thoughts, but I'm sure you guys are playing it as well. And on top of that, John, the Fortnite comparison is great with the cartoony versus realistic graphics. I also think another good comparison is the different perspectives as well. Fortnite being third person, Call of Duty being first person. So you get some different audiences with both. If you guys want to, though, Warzone is now available. I believe it is already live. That's going to be Verdansk 1984 drop in this week. Couple other game updates. Biomutant from Experiment 101 and THQ Nordic, our good friend over on the Discord server, Squirkle, has been keeping an eye on this one. It's set to drop next month with an official release date of May 25th. It also came out with a recent stunning trailer you guys should check out. For time's sake, we're not going to play it live here on the show. We try to get some trailers in here and there. This one you got to check out on your own, though. It is definitely worth the watch. The extended trailer is available on YouTube, I believe, in 4K, and it is stunningly gorgeous. Definitely worth checking out. Little bit of news we mentioned back in January on Discord, and I believe on Level Up. We can pat ourselves on the back on this one, John, because we called it about 4 months before it broke publicly. Again, we mentioned it quite a while back, but industry insider Jason Schreier has now confirmed Asper Media is the mystery studio working on the formerly rumored KOTOR remake. Knights of the Old Republic fans, it is coming back. It is being remade, and it's being done by Aspire Media, and it should be a fun one. Not 100% sure on the release date as of yet. I think we could see a trailer for it in May, but it is now confirmed it's in the works. It's now confirmed who the mystery studio is, and it's now confirmed that John and I are pretty excited for this one.
This was a fantastic game when it first came out. The story is everything you want in a Star Wars game and then some. I would argue, and a lot of people would agree with me, that is one of the best Star Wars stories in a video game ever to be put out there. Jedi Fallen Order was good. KOTOR was even better. It was that great. Now, Joey, just real quick, turn your attention, please, to the homepage of Asper Media. Is it Asper or Aspire?
Okay, I don't 100% know, but I'm going with Aspire because
okay.
I like it. It inspires me, so let's throw a little in front of that, and hey, there we are.
So, Joey, may I direct everyone's attention to the right side of their webpage with the very blatant artwork from Knights of the Old Republic sitting right there on the screen with Star Wars on it. I feel like that is a very strong tell. That's just me though, Joey.
Okay, well, let me explain why that's the case. So
I
Aspire
know.
Media was the people who ended up porting it over to mobile devices.
Yeah.
So the original Coder 1 and Coder 2 were both ported over by Aspire Media. So that's
I
kind
totally
of where
get it.
some of this speculation originated. But now this one going to PC and I believe consoles as well is a surprise because those were just pure ports over to mobile tablets and such.
Pure reports, but you cannot tell me that this was not done on purpose.
Yeah, it does. It does bring some of that speculation for sure, 100%.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Definitely worth checking out. So we're excited for that one again. Knights of the Old Republic remake. You've heard it from us in January, but now it's officially confirmed by an industry insider. That one is being done by Aspire Media, and we should hear more soon. Last but not least is Valorant. John, you and I have not played in a hot minute over there in that game, but it's still popping off. It's extremely popular. The esports scene has been growing. Fnatic is actually winning things in Valorant now, which has been a nice surprise for me over here in my jersey. But we have a new map coming as well, breezing its way into the game, known as Breeze actually is the name. It's been leaked with some screenshots and a preview video. If you go ahead and click that beautiful link in our notes, let's take a look at the new map Breeze.
새로운 발견이
Language violence.
넘치는 곳.
Sounds like Dr.
눈부신 아름다움을 지닌 자연 그대로의 경관.
Oh, pretty beach. I mean, I love the aesthetic here. You get some new creatures coming in. You get your little stone archway. You get some beachy themes. I feel like beach maps in general are pretty fun in games. I'm thinking of like the World War II games and such, but at the same point, I feel like beaches can be done quite a bit in different game genres. So I'm excited to see, and it looks like a little bit of an underground kind of cavern-esque part going as well here. You got some some cannons rather for aesthetics. Pretty open map overall. It looks like there's quite a bit to work around. Some of those crazy little jiggle peak angles, but overall I feel like it's going to allow for plenty of creativity. Yes, you're going to have some teams that are able to camp out pretty well here, but it looks like multiple entries into the site, and it should keep things pretty interesting with the new map.
이 모든 것을
I don't know when this one's going to be officially announced either, guys. I'm not 100% on this. This is a leaked video. So we'll keep an eye on that and eventually see when it is officially unveiled. But Breeze, I believe it's coming out pretty soon too, so keep an eye out for that one. Upcoming stuff, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition. We touched on it on Monday. We're going to touch on it again. This one is worth the download, guys. It is free to download today, and that is Monday through May 14th. So starting this week through May 14th, you have a couple weeks left. Go ahead and download this as part of PlayStation's Play at Home program. You do not want to miss out. If you do not already have this game, or maybe you own it as a disc, go ahead and get it digital as well. It's definitely worth the download. Diablo Immortal has entered into its second closed alpha playtest, continuing to progress forward with positive feedback from players. John, this was a big meme when it originally got announced. People are like, seriously, Diablo Mobile, we're waiting for Diablo 4. You're going to give us a mobile game. Players were not happy. But since then, through the first alpha test, it got incredibly positive feedback. It seems like players are starting to adapt to it. Again, it's not Diablo 4, but it does seem like a great Diablo experience that a number of those players will eventually pick up.
Now, just to clarify, they're not mad that they're getting a mobile game. They're mad because they were promised Diablo 4, and then they came out with Diablo Mobile and completely acted like Diablo 4 was not a thing. And that's what everyone was ticked off about.
Now, did they say Diablo 4 was a thing, or was it more that people were insinuating it was going to be Diablo?
Well, so there were a lot of rumors that came out for that BlizzCon that they would have more information on the development of Diablo 4, that there would be possibly a preview video. There was just a lot of hype, and Blizzard didn't really do anything to throw like cold water on it either. They were kind of eating it up because they were getting the hype, they were getting the clicks, they were getting the social media chats and hashtags and everything. So like they definitely rode the wave of excitement. And then when they just came out, they're like, this is what everyone's been waiting for. Diablo mobile game. And everyone's like, you're kidding me, right? Like for months, people were talking about Diablo 4, and then they slapped them across the face with a mobile game. Now, again, I think Diablo Mobile has a legit place in gaming. Just at that time, it was not the way to announce it. And I think Blizzard's learned their lesson a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. So at least through playtesting so far through that first phase of alpha, it seems like players are starting to warm up to it a little bit, starting to fuel the fires of Diablo here on mobile devices. We'll see if that continues here with the second playtest. Last set of Game Pass's triple-headed monster of this month is dropping. The last bit of games coming out for April is MLB The Show 21. That one dropped on Tuesday, just after our Monday show at midnight. That one's coming to consoles. We have Fogs coming today to PC. And again, that is Thursday, April 22nd. A little bit later next week, second extension with early access, but with achievements. So some of us can get that little Chivo noise popping up here and there because John knows I'm addicted to it. That's April 28th for cloud, console, and PC. Destroy All Humans. A lot of people hyped about this one as well. That's going to be April 29th for cloud, console, and PC. And last but not least, Fable 3 and Fable Anniversary getting added to those cloud options on April 30th as well. That is going to be your last set of titles here for April. It's been a very big April for Game Pass. May might be even bigger, so keep an eye out for that as we get closer to it as well. An in-person playtest for Riot's upcoming fighting game, currently titled Project L, has been confirmed for April 23rd and 25th. Not really too much to say on this one, John. I just think some speculation to bring up for our listeners here, whether they're live or listening to the podcast, is maybe this means we get a full summer reveal. We saw Valorant get unveiled in the summer. It ended up getting its little testing in, I believe, early April, if I remember correctly. Then in about June, we had a showcase for it. Or maybe it was May was the showcase, and then they dropped it in June. Either way, early summer, we saw Valorant. We got the announcement for when it's going to launch. We got to look at some of the agents and all of that good stuff as well. I would not be surprised if it's going to be a similar timeline here for Project L after how well Valorant has done in its first year since that reveal. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think if we're doing in-person playtests, we're getting closer and closer to a public reveal for that one. And last but not least on that is, I would say if it does get revealed, maybe we see a showcase at EVO as well later in the year, being that big premier fighting championship. I don't know if it'll be ready for players to quite pick up as a competition event, but maybe some kind of showcase could end up there as well. Keep an eye out for that one. Last but not least, an update is Rogue Company Season 2 stream for their update. They're doing like a new update stream thing where some of the developers will come on and talk about what to expect in Season 2. That's going to be 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a new map coming, Breach, that has been leaked. A new character, codename Paladin. We believe the real name is Mac. Possibly a new mode in King of the Hill and a few more things as well. If you guys are interested in Rogue Company, I highly recommend checking it out. If you have checked it out and you want to know what's coming in Season 2, you can do so 3 p.m. Eastern Time on their, I believe, Twitch stream channel. Go ahead and check that one out. Okay, sir, it's been a long show. We just eclipsed the hour mark, but we have one little bit of news left to touch. Not super little, but worth noting. According to Esports, the LEC voted last week to remove the obligation to have an academy team. This was voted on 9-1 between the 10 teams. Rogue was the only org not to vote for this change. Overall, one thing to keep in mind with this change, though, is it's not really going to change too much. Most teams are still committing to a plan of keeping their academy teams. They just wanted to remove that barrier for some clubs so that if they felt the need, given COVID or given financial issues or whatever might come up, that they do have the option of cutting that academy squad before they completely drop out of the league. I think it's probably a good decision, especially if they continue to invest in that scene. I mean, overall, if you look at the LEC, they have been one of the best leagues as far as bringing young players into the main teams, regardless if it's an academy squad or an outside org that they end up buying a player from. I think this is something you'll continue to see a lot of flexibility and a lot of change within that league. So I think the change is fine. I do see where Rogue was coming from as well, though. You don't want to really abolish academy systems. It doesn't look good. But with most teams promising to keep them and looking like they're already using that talent anyway, it should not be too crazy of a deal. Last but not least, the orgs also agreed to apply a maximum of 2 academy teams for European Regional League. So pretty much saying, like, if you have the small Spanish league or the UK-based league, you can only have 2 LEC academy teams within those leagues to try to keep the scene a little bit even and continuing to pour money into different facets of it. I like that change as well. These are going to take effect in January 2022. Anything else you want to say on that, sir? LEC, this vote, or the potential roster moves that we've heard here and there? Guys, there are some changes potentially being made behind the scenes. We're not 100% sure what everything is. We do know G2 got that new coach. We know Vitality is making a coaching change as well. And we did see Avadage leave Schalke for 100 Thieves, with, I believe, Nuclear coming up as the new mid lane player for them. There could be many more moves on the horizon, though, even rumors of potential Fnatic and G2 moves. So keep an eye out for those. Anything else you want to talk about, John, this week? I know we had to cut out a few topics for our listeners, but overall, I think we fit quite a bit in here, and I'm pretty darn stoked for what we've heard as well as what is to come in gaming and esports.
I'll be the negative guy when it comes to the academy teams there in the LEC. I'm definitely on Rogue's side on this, and it's only because I have grown up with the expectations of corporations and organizations saying one thing and then doing the complete opposite. I would like to think the organizations in the LEC are different. They have proven that they are different, but that negative thought still kind of trickles in there because, you know, again, I'm a Cloud9 fan. I feel like everyone knows that by now. Cloud9 does a great job with their academy team. They have developed a lot of talent, and that's going to be the pipeline for your ongoing development of esport talent. That's what we see in traditional sports. There's essentially like a minor league system, if you will. There's some kind of pathway to pro, if you will, and the academy system for League of Legends is kind of like that pathway. Now, I get why they're doing it. Financial constraints. It's an international pandemic that makes complete sense. I would love to take the organizations at their word that yes, they are committed to doing this without the rules and regulations saying they have to do it. But part of me still feels a little queasy because without having that rule in place, it feels like any one of these organizations at any sign, at any moment's notice, they could be like, you know what? I'd rather put my money somewhere else. I may or may not put it into a team. I may or may not put it into another academy team. I may or may not put it into my own back pocket. Now, again, that's a very capitalistic, very negative take on it. You know, it's their organization. It's our money. We can do whatever we want. I get that. I don't think the LEC organizations are like that, but that's still a thought in the back of my mind. And that's why I feel like I'm on the side of Rogue a little bit more in this argument. But again, I do understand where the organizations are coming from.
Yeah, I think one of the other factors here in particular is the fact that a lot of these teams had academy teams before they were forced to. So again, I kind of see where you're coming from. And honestly, I kind of lean that direction as well. But the fact that we did see a lot of these teams end up with academy teams before they were even told to does give a little bit of that positive feedback back, showing they're willing to make those investments, seeing constant players come from those ERL teams up to the main LEC teams as well, I think helps facilitate some of that change. So while it is a little bit nerve-wracking, especially with some of the changes being requested by the LCS, I think there's a little bit more comfort knowing that Europe, at least so far in the past, 10 years, however long it's been around, has done a pretty good job moving these different players between the two scenes and investing in those lower level players. I think that does it, buddy. I think we're ready to wrap up this episode.
I mean, you don't have to tell me twice. I was just trying to click the button and get the music going. Nation! That is going to do it for this edition of Level Up Live. Before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you'll get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are a part of OTN Media. If you have not already done so, make sure you're following the show here on Twitch at OTN Media. Make sure you send us a follow, maybe a sub, maybe a Twitch gaming /Prime, wherever in the world we're calling it now, sub as well, to catch the next episode of Level Up Live. And if you do listen to the podcast version of the show, please do leave us a review. The Level Up Podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. We would love to hear from you. In fact, we love to hear from our community so much we have multiple ways for you to interact with us. Joey, what are some of those ways?
Absolutely. Level Up Nation, head on over to Twitter and find us at Level Up Live. That is LVL UP Live. In addition to that, you can follow the Umbrella Network OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook at OTN Media, as well as on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, hit us up with a follow, maybe even one of those Prime subs over here on Twitch. Again, if you're a podcast listener, as John said earlier on, come join the live show. It's a fun time over here. When we get a good chat going, it makes for a great discussion for them as well. Twitch.tv/OTN Media. This show, Mondays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right, make sure you tune in this upcoming Monday, April 26th, as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor. Hit that sub and follow button to know when the next episode of Level Up Live is ready for your viewing and listening pleasures. We will catch you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online, and as always, level up.